Hello math fans, Mr. Choose here with bare algebra. In this video we're going to talk about factoring x squared plus bx plus c trinomials using what I call the MN method with grouping. So we're going to factor by grouping after we convert to the MNs, and it's going to end up looking like x plus m in parentheses times x plus n. And then when you FOIL that and go backwards, you will find your original problem. So before we start our factoring the trinomials, we'll do two examples and then you'll have two challenge problems you can practice. Let's review FOIL. So if you remember FOIL, if you take any two binomials and multiply them, so let's just take x plus 3 times x plus 8. The F stood for first, the O for outer, the I for inner, and the L for last. If you need to review these, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you'll be able to search my YouTube channel for FOIL or multiplying binomials. And I have several different methods besides the FOIL. Alright, so the F stands for first. So let's just review this. So my F is first, so it's x times x. Then my O stands for outer, and that's x times 8x. And that would be 8x. And my I stands for inner. That's 3 times x. And then my L stands for last. Then we always tell everybody, then you need to combine like terms. So it ends up being x squared plus 11x plus 24. So now when we're factoring these, we're given this, and we have to figure out what these two are. We're just going backwards. So in doing that, I'm going to teach you an easy way to come up with this 8x and 3x. And it wouldn't matter if you had plus 8x plus 3x or 3x plus 8x, you're still going to get the same answer. The only difference would be it would switch the order of these two binomials, and that does not affect it any. All right, so we're going to concentrate on thinking about these two numbers here. Okay, so I'm going to do two examples, and then we'll have two challenge problems. So example 1. Is a squared plus 9a plus 20. Now remember, it's going to end up being very easy if you take this 9a and convert it to two different terms added together. It'll give you 9a that'll allow me to factor this by grouping. All right, so how do we do that? The standard form of an equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. And in this case, it would be a squared, some number, times a squared. You see the a is 1 here, so we can just get rid of that. So the standard form is x squared plus bx plus c. And so I know this is going to give me two binomials. And the only way I can get an a squared reversing FOIL was just to have a's here. And when I was learning this, when I was your age, learning algebra, I wasn't taught the way I'm going to teach you. I just had to start guessing. well, what two numbers go here? And then I had to reverse FOIL to see if that really was the answer. All right, so let's see how we can do it. So what you're going to do is, your step one, you're going to multiply A times C. Well, remember, your A was out in front of here. Remember, this was an AX squared. And then A times C is just going to be 1, because this ends up having a 1 out here. 1 times 20. So I know that AC in this case is going to be 20. Because what happens? On our last one, it's 3 times 8 whenever you multiply these two. So it's going to have to give me 20. So there's only, when I did this, I did 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5, and I'm going to teach you an organized way to do that. And I just had to keep guessing and checking until I got it. So here's what I want you to learn to do. My AC is going to be 20. And what do they have to add up to be? 9. So I'm going to put M plus N equals 9. And over here, the M times the N has to equal 20. Well, what's the M and the N? It's these two numbers right here. Okay? All right. So I always tell everyone, what's the lowest number you can divide 20 by? Well, it's 1 times 20. Well, 1 times 20 equals 20. Now over here, I'm going to do 1 plus 20, which is 21. Now, is 21 a 9? No. So that one does not work. So I just put a big X through it. Now I go to 2 times what gives me 20? 10. 2 times 10 gives me 20. And 2 plus 10 gives me 12. Is 12 9? No. So now some people say, yeah, but how are you getting all these numbers? Well, one thing you could do a factor tree. I know it's going to be 1 times 20, and I know 20 is going to be 2 times 10, and then the 10 can be 2 times 5. That means now I could take 4 times 5, and that does equal 20. What about 4 plus 5? That equals 9. Is that what I want? Sure is. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do this now. And you'll do it like this on every one of these problems when it just has a 1 in front of my square. Okay, so I'm going to take this problem and I'm going to rewrite this. But I'm going to rewrite this so it's a combination of these two. So it ends up being 4A plus 5A. And then I'm going to have my plus 20. Do you see how we just reversed that? These two, when I combine them, will give me my 9A. Now, why do I do that? I do that because now I can use another technique that I've already explained in earlier videos called factor by grouping. All right? So, the factor by grouping means that I'm going to take my first two and group them together. I'm going to take my second two and group them together. Now I'm going to factor a GCF, and yes, I have factor GCF videos once you subscribe to my channel. What can I factor out of there? I can factor an A out. What do you multiply by A to get A squared? A. What do you multiply by A to get 4A? 4. 5A plus 20. The GCF is 5. What do you multiply by 5 to get 5A? A. What do you multiply by 5 to get 24? And it better be that same number. Now, when I was teaching in brick and mortar, middle school and high school algebra classes, I would tell them, I've got to have the same number here, and I'm going to underline it. And I live in Indiana. Indiana's a big basketball state. And the Indiana Pacers had a great three-point shooter who's in the Hall of Fame. He's an analyst right now, called by the name of Reggie Miller. And when he shot a three-pointer, made him, because he did it a lot when he played, the referees would put their hands up, people would put their hands up in the stands, and they'd say, "Boom, baby!" And so my algebra students loved it when I would get to this point and I'd say, "Boom, baby," which means I'm writing that down. And remember, it's going to look like this. And if I take this out, divide it out, what's left? An A. And I take this out, divide it out, it factors and cancels, a 5. And if I take and FOIL this, you're going to get A times A for my first, to give me my A squared. 4 times A gives me my 4A. 5 times A gives me my 5A. 4 times 5 is 20, so I know this is correct. Wow, that looked like a lot of steps, and it took me 11 minutes to review FOIL and then do that problem. All right, now we're going to do example 2. So I'll just erase where I reviewed FOIL here. And example 2 is going to be b squared, and it'll go faster now. Each time you do this, using this method, it'll go faster each time. And remember, I'm going to get 2 parentheses multiplied together, so I know I'm going to have a b here and a b here, but I don't know what I've got here, but I know that the 12, the 2 numbers, this number times this number will have to give me 12, but when I use my outer inner, it's going to have to add up to 8b. So you're saying, yeah, but how do I do that? Well, I take my 1 times my 12 to get my AC. So I know that 1 times 12, I'm going to erase this to get it out of the way, because it is in my way now. You could always go back and look in the video if you need to see what I've done there. You can always pause these YouTube videos. That's a good part about them. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to take my table, and I'm going to know that my AC is 12. So I know that my m times my m times my n has to equal 12. And I know that my b equals 8. Remember when we had our, this would be written as b squared plus b, some number times b plus c. All right, now the problem is that you've got a b here, which means that's that middle number here. That always gets confusing. Whatever the number is in front of that power to the first 1 to the first power. So I know that that middle's got to be an 8. So I know that m plus n has to equal 8. Now I just fill it out. So I'm taking 12, and if you want to do this, I know 1 times 12 will give me 12. Those are factors. I know that 2 times 6 will give me 12. And I know that 4 times 3 will get me 12. Are there any other factors of 12? No. All right, so I know that this equals 12 when I multiply them. This equals 12, and we could say here's my m, here's my n. This equals 12, and now we're going to do m plus n. So 1 plus 12 equals 13. Does that equal 8? No. So I know that one doesn't work. Now I do 2 plus 6 equals 8. Yes. So, and this one doesn't work because 4 plus 3 equals 7. So it is 2 and 6. So all I do now is I just break this 8 into 2b plus 6b. Now I always have some students that will say, what happens if I put 6b plus 2b? It'll work, it'll just reverse the order of these two. So remember what you do next? Once we get to this point, and you'll get faster and faster and faster at this when it makes sense. I'm going to group these together using what's called the associative property. It's an algebra property. And group these together and find the GCF. I do have videos that explain how to do this. So the GCF is b. What do you multiply by b to get b squared? B. When you multiply by b to get 2b, 2. That's reversing the distributive property. See how you would check it? The GCF here is 6. That's going to be b plus 2. Remember what I said when I told you that what I said to my class? Boom, baby! And I would say it so loud they'd jump up out of the chair. Well, once you take this out, what's left? B plus 6. Now, if I reverse it to FOIL it and check it, I'm going to get b squared plus 2b plus 6b plus 12. B squared plus 2b plus 6b is 8b plus 12. So I know it's right. Now, if this video is helpful, give it a thumbs up. Share it with some of your friends who maybe are struggling a little bit in algebra. Subscribe to my channel. There are links over here if you're on a computer, links underneath if you're on your phone, on your iPad. Make sure you subscribe to my channel right now if you haven't already, because I got lots more videos coming. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 problems up here that are challenge problems. And then up here will be a link to the solutions to them. So you can pause it, work them, then start the video back up, click on the link and go see them. So it'll be challenge 1 and challenge 2. And then in that particular video, I'll start out with challenge 1 and challenge 2, and then I will ask the students to do the examples. That way you've always got a couple problems when you're watching on a lesson video of Mr. Chu's Bear Algebra. So if you didn't already know, Bear Algebra, Bear is my soon-to-be 13-year-old peekapoo. He's gray, just like in the pictures on some of my videos. I've shown pictures of him. If you want to subscribe, you'll see him. And if you follow me on Facebook and TikTok, you'll see lots of pictures of Bear and videos. All right. So here's the challenge problems for BRAC Algebra Lesson 8.03H. And whenever you see this, there'll just be an I here when you watch the solution. So write these down and pause it and then try it. So factor each trinomial using this MN method. So challenge 1, x squared plus 10x plus 21. Challenge 2, y squared plus 11y plus 28. Pause this now and work them. Now that you've finished these problems, up here will be a link to the solutions to these challenge problems. Down here will be a playlist of factoring polynomials. Subscribe to my channel, like it, and remember, this is important, that I am Mr. Chu using videos in what I call Bear Algebra. And why do I do it? Because I'm Mr. Chu and I want to help you understand algebra. I'll see you in the next video.